all you need to, more than you ever wanted to know about tent stakes. I'm just getting a bit ready to set up this white duck tent, the bell tent that I'm very pleased with it so far. But I want to talk to you about stakes, because stakes are really, really important. Whether you're in the desert or in the national forest, wherever you are, in the sand or wherever, the quality of your stakes really, really makes a huge difference. And a good wind can just pull up stakes, and I've seen that happen, especially with here in the desert. You get these enormous winds. But I've seen some pretty darn big winds up in the national forest as well. So it can really make a difference. So I know this seems really obvious, but a lot of you aren't familiar with the different kinds of stakes that are available. So, and it just makes a huge difference in the quality of your life in living in a tent. It won't go, if it's really rocky soil in the desert, you're not going to get through rocks with this. And if it's soft soil like sand in the desert, this will just go in and then pull right out. It won't do you a lick of good. So in the national forest, what you're going to find a lot of times is it's all this soft, spongy stuff like topsoil or peat moss. And so you drive this just in just like that, and it can come right out. So that's 2 times sand, and in the national forest, the topsoil, it just doesn't hold. This is a far, far superior stake. Look how much longer it is. Look how much thicker it is. It's a piece of rebar, but man, this is a good stake. You can drive this down with a good enough hammer and hit a rock and glance around it. I've even with a stake like this, a little better than this though, broken a rock. So in fact, one time I drove a stake like this into a rock and then could not get it out. I could not under any conditions. It was a big rock too. That's why I couldn't break it. So I ended up just leaving it. I covered the stake up because I didn't want anybody to get hurt in it. But so these will actually break rocks and go through them if you're persistent enough. And it's the diameter, it's a piece of rebar, so it has all this stuff to grab. This doesn't just pull out. This is a far superior stake. You can buy this stake on Amazon, and so you can just buy themselves. And so if you're going to be putting up a tent in the desert national forest, this is a very, very good choice. These are just, I actually use these to put down, by here you can see behind me, as you can see some of it, the tarp, because the tarp has the weight of the tent on it. It doesn't want to blow away. I will hold these down with these crap stakes, but these are pretty worthless. I don't even ever bother with them. But this isn't the only stake you can get. Let me show you some even better stakes. So compare these 2 stakes. This is just a standard nail stake, but it's so much thicker. It's not going to just bend. I pounded these down, hit a rock, kept pounding on it, and it just literally bent, or bent here, or it bent here. This is a standard nail stake. You can get it on Amazon, and they hold up really well. I would really recommend these. This is far better than this. So if you get rid of these and replace it with these, that's a very good step. 2 other choices. These also come from Amazon. This is going to do a lot better job in the sand because it's got so much more surface area than either of these. It won't do any good in rocks. You're not pounding this into a rock or anywhere near a rock. But if it's in soft soil, this yellow one will do well. And you'll be glad you have this in the sandy desert or in the national forest where there's a lot of that thick topsoil ground floor. But then, of course, you see this one, and this is this on steroids. That's just in the sand. If you go to the desert and you need to set up a tent, and there's always wind in the desert, or if you go to the beach, say you like to go to the beach and you want to set up a tent in the sand. Well, this is a sand stake. This is long enough and a lot of surface area. This is going to keep your tent secure in the sand. So this is a highly recommended stake. You hit a rock with it and it'll break or not do well. This is 16 inches. This is probably a foot. This is quite a bit more expensive, but still pretty darn cheap at Amazon. You can see both of these are a big improvement. These are going to be for rocks. These are going to be for sand. This is an actual piece of rebar. Somebody has literally welded this ring on, cut a nice thick long bend here. You got lots of you know, the knurling on here to grab. This is an incredible steak. I buy these and I have them with me all the time because they just are an incredible steak. But this is surprisingly good. You can see how much taller it is. And that does make a big difference when you're going down into sand, or, you know, this can do almost every job. This will do well in rocky soil. It will push around the rocks. It will literally break rocks. I have used these to break rocks in really rocky soil. And this, surprisingly, you'd think, well, maybe that's just a cheap weld that comes off. I've been pounding on these a lot, and you miss sometimes, and you hit this, and you think, oh, I'm just going to break that off. It's cheap. I've never broken one off. I've never seen one broke off. So they're really surprisingly good quality. Now, they sell much larger ones. They sell one that's another 6 inches, and they sell one that is like 2 foot or more. And that one has a ring at the top. It's actually not designed as a steak, although I've seen a lot of people use them as steaks. So they're very long. You can get these in any length. So this is a fantastic steak. It's the one I recommend you buy. This is a great steak too. It's just not quite as long. They're both great steaks. You'd be very happy with it. And I will continue to use it. So there you go. A variety of steaks. I know you think, well, 10 steaks. You don't have to tell me about 10 steaks, Bob. I'm smarter than that. But you may not have had the experience with all the different kinds of soil and environments that you will run across as a nomad. That's the thing. As a nomad, you move. And your environment and where you're pounding down steaks changes with your movement. And so having a variety of steaks for a different variety of soils and conditions can make a really big difference. And I wouldn't carry all of these, but I would carry, what would I carry? I would carry the nail steaks because they're a very practical steak, and I wouldn't carry that. I'd buy these, and then I'd carry one of these for sand. You know what, I do believe I would carry this one too, because there are places where this is just too much steak. This steak will work well in an environment where this won't. So this is probably what I would buy. Have this selection, carry it on hand with you, and have them in each enough to get most of your tent up with some variety in there. But so there you go. All you need to more than you ever wanted to know about tent steaks. It can be a pretty big difference. You're sleeping in the middle of the night, a huge wind comes up just out of the blue, and boy, believe me, that's happened to me. And your tent blows over on you. You're going to think, I should have listened to that, Bob. He might have known what he was talking about. So tent stakes are actually kind of important. If you are going to invest the money in a good tent, it's worth investing a little more money in a good stake that's intended for the environment you're in. And as a nomad, that changes. So you might need multiple stakes for multiple environments. That's all I'm trying to say. I hope this was helpful to you. Now, I'm going to have links down below to all these stakes that I can find on Amazon. And I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later. Bye now.